How's it going, y'all? Back with a new damn video. Let's get right down to it. So, I was going to come here earlier with the video, but I had work, just got out of work literally 10 minutes ago. Made it home, and I'm here to make the video about the whole Orlando Scandrick thing. Now, I woke up to the news, and I was like, oh, man. And then I was rushing to get ready for work. Boom, boom, boom. All day long was trying to gather my thoughts on it because every few minutes more information was coming out. More people were saying things. Now, we already knew this locker room was a mess, and like I said in my previous video leading up to this Eagles versus Bills game, that every time someone says something, for example, Peterson says something, the players say something else. Like no one's on the same cohesive unit. No one's saying the same thing. Nothing's making sense. And Orlando Scandrick, who was with us, as you guys know, we signed him, I think, around training camp time, and then cut him before he didn't make the 53-man roster. We cut him. Now, later on in the season, we needed a little bit of help. A guy started to get hurt. We re-signed him. So, I will start with this. The one remark he said, Scandrick said, I don't believe a thing Howie Rosen says. He's the kind of guy that if he tells you it's raining outside, grab a pair of shorts just in case. Now, when it comes to Howie Rosen, everyone knows he's a respected general manager around the league. No one has ever said a bad thing about him. The reason Scandrick has an issue with Howie Rosen is because of he's got cut, he got traded. He got cut, he got picked back up, he got cut twice. Just proves the guy can't play in the league. It's just that he can play in the league, but he's not all this and all that. He wouldn't get cut that quickly. Now, when you listen to these things, I'm not going to say Orlando Scandrick was completely wrong and just defend the Eagles. I'll be honest, some of the stuff is alarming that he says and also could be true. And just look at the play on the field from 2017, and everyone was a cohesive unit. Everyone was just working out, and everything was just working and going and bang, bang, boom. To now, what do you see? It looks like there was locker room trouble starting to already leak out when you look back and you see what Lane Johnson was saying about people missing meetings. And this goes back before the Dallas game. This goes into the Vikings game, before the Vikings game, just the whole everything that was around it. The anonymous sources about Jalen Ramsey not coming here and a player being pissed about it, when a player should not be pissed about that, okay? The reason why, I understand being pissed that you missed out on getting the top corner in the league. But if you're a player in that locker room, whoever the anonymous source was, let me tell you something right now. You're supposed to believe in the guy in that room with you. You're supposed to die on that field with the guy in the room with you. You say, you know what? Yeah, our corners suck. Yeah, they had a bad game. Well, hey, you know what? Mills has come back. That's my boy. We won a bowl together. We did it together. For a player to be mad their team didn't trade for someone or didn't complete the trade, and whoever that anonymous source was is a clown and needs to get cut off this team immediately, because those things are for management and higher up positions in that organization to deal with in trying to trade for people if they can't get a deal done. It has nothing to do with anonymous players or players coming out saying things. That's number one. I've seen that issue right away. Then another thing about Carson Wentz, and I'm getting sick to death of it. You know what? Get rid of anyone who does not want to play for him. This reminds me a little bit of like the Russell Wilson thing with Seattle. If you guys remember, they cleaned house. Look at Seattle. They're still irrelevant. They're still relevant. They're still balling out. They got rid of every single person on that defensive side of the ball that had a problem with Wilson because they thought the organization was pushing too much onto him or into him. Okay? That's what you need. Get rid of guys that don't want to play here or don't want to play with Carson because they got to get used to it. It's that simple. Now, here's another thing Orlando Scandrick said. Eagles locker room was asked if it's bad or as it's being portrayed as bad. He said, let's just say where there's smoke, there's fire. I can already tell you that was going on in the Eagles locker room, that it's not in good shape. He said it's different. These guys are still riding the high of a Super Bowl that's over. Some guys are still living in the past and can't deal with success. I don't know that they can't deal with success. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Okay, whatever. But I believe they are riding the high still. And he did make a valid point. He said there's some guys, he said, for example, I played 10 years in the league, or he played how many years, whatever. He said, I can't remember exactly, because then they brought up Shannon Sharp and how many years he played, and he played through a lot of bad years, but he won 3 Super Bowls, yada, yada, yada. But he said a lot of these guys, he said about talking about himself. Now, he's a loser. He's a bum. We know what he is. He's a scrub. And he played for Dallas, which, whatever. They haven't done anything in 25 years, so I understand where he's coming from. But this is all I'm trying to say is this. He said, I never made a Super Bowl appearance in my career, and I never won a Super Bowl. Some of these guys in that locker room, they came right out of the draft as whether it be undrafted Corey Clement. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. He's good. But I'm saying there's that. There's the first round pick in Derek Barnett. The second round. That whole draft came to a team like the Eagles and won a ring. They got a ring. Coming right out of college. Now they're 23 years old instead of 20. And they have a Super Bowl championship. Beating Tom Brady, the GOAT, and the greatest coach to ever coach, in my opinion, any sports, Bill Belichick. That's just me. Well, especially football, but maybe any, once all said and done, over his whole thing of success. Okay. But as he's saying they can't deal with success, then he goes on the Scandrick on the leaks and the team bringing issues public instead of addressing each other in the locker room. He said, and they were talking about Lane Johnson and talking about how he said people missing meetings, He goes, I was just talking about that with someone. Never seen it before. Why not go right to him? Why go public? I agree with him. Why Lane Johnson, I know he's frustrated. And, as he did say on the show, hey, we all know Lane is a great player. He had a bad game in Dallas. He did have a bad game. And then he comes out and says that. But that's the type of thing I was saying. This thing's starting to fall apart just a tad bit. Because you go to the other guy and you say something. Just like the anonymous source who everyone thinks is Alshon Jeffrey. And if it is Alshon Jeffrey, like I said before, get the hell rid of him. The guy cannot get separation to save his life unless the speed guy's on the field. I ain't getting into that rant yet. Hold on. But listen, he's basically saying the same thing I've been saying. A lot of people are going too much public with this. At least Lane Johnson owned up and put his name on it. Okay? Instead of it being an anonymous source once again. But once again, I don't like the whole going public. Do you ever see New England Patriots go public? No. Do you ever see the other successful teams in the thing go public? No. They do. They're cut. They're gone. It shouldn't be that way. That's why I think Doug should say, hey, you know what, Lane, come to my office. Have a new players council meeting because things need to get readjusted and say, hey, you know what? You're a great player. Da-da-da-da. But next time you have an issue with people that are late for practice, late for meetings, you come to me and I'll fix it. And you know what? Slap him with a fat-ass fine. Say, do not talk again in the media. You understand me? That's just bulletin board material and more shit that's going to be on our backs when the media wants to bring things up. And that's facts. And find the anonymous source also and do the same thing. Say, you want to talk about my play calling? Be a man, come to my face and say it. Okay? Have a sit-down, one-on-one. That's facts. They should do that. Now, they're talking about Scandrick if anyone prefers Foles over Wentz. He goes, there are some guys in the locker room who rather have Nick than Carson. Yeah, but the organization has shown they are all in on Carson, so there's definitely going to have to find a happy medium, which is true. You're going to have to, or just don't play here. That's simple. Well, Nick Foles is not walking back into that door. He's on Jacksonville Jaguars. He's on IR. He's hurt. And he ain't coming back until week 11 if he still has his job because this other guy's been playing pretty solid. But that's neither here nor there. He's not coming back unless something goes down. But whatever. We're not here to please these players. We're here to try to win things. And if they don't want to keep playing with this quarterback, then we'll see what happens going from there. But the whole front office has shown their support for him and the whole, everything by giving him the contract. But so let's just keep going, though. So then he talks about people that question Wentz's leadership. He tells a story how the Eagles had troubles with drops the first few weeks. He stayed around a long while after practice working with his receivers for them to stop dropping balls and everything, which leadership right there. Okay, the defensive huddle. He goes, they stick together, but there's definitely some selfish guys in the huddle. I don't even have to say names. They know who they are. Whatever. Then he says, Lane Scandrick, defensive captains for the Eagles, when you wear the C on your jersey, it's your guy's job to grab guys along, take the hard down, and you need to take the hard job. I don't know if that's the case. I guess whatever the hell I'm reading this off, some Eagles guy report this. And then he threw shade at Malcolm Jenkins saying, you're going to hold out for a contract? You're supposed to be the captain of defense. You're supposed to cover half the field. And in Minnesota, you covered the crossers. This isn't a rookie we're talking about. This is a two-time Super Bowl champion. Now, he had a lot more to say. Went on the Colin Cowherd show after, Malcolm Jenkins did come out. And Malcolm Jenkins did say, we don't need, and I quote, he said, we do not need motherfuckers like that in this locker room. And then he said a couple other things about Orlando Scandrick. And then it's funny because the Eagles, after that, Eagles post a video of the Vikings game or when Malcolm Jenkins was mic'd up and he was making tackles. He goes to the sidelines And Orlando Scandrick looks right at Malcolm Jenkins and says, this is why you're the leader of this team. You never take one single effing snap off. And he goes, nope. That's all Malcolm Jenkins said. And he's walked off. So for Malcolm Jenkins, I will not question his leadership. The guy, he's been around 2 Super Bowl winning teams. He's been the leader of this team for the years. He's the one last year, in my opinion, when we made our runaround, our turnaround. Let me tell you this. He was the guy because he went right to Jim Schwartz, say, listen, we got a whole bunch of guys off practice squads from different teams here. Young guys, all in different. Simplify it. Simplify this. Let the D-line do their thing and let us just, simplify the defense. Don't make it so crazy for these young players or these undrafted guys. And that's what happened. Jim Schwartz took his advice because he respects Malcolm Jenkins. He knows he's been around the league. He knows his acumen and his mind for football. He took the advice, and the defense turned around within a blink of an eye. They were hanging in every game. They were doing what they had to do. And so Malcolm Jenkins not being a leader or such and such, I wouldn't look much into that. But I will say this. He does hit on a lot of points. It just sucks that this happens. That you see it, the trickle effect. You start to see it. Each week this season, they're getting beat. They look like they're sad. They look like they're down. They look like they don't give it. They look like they're all mad. And they're still hung up on the Super Bowl high from 2 damn years ago. Okay? That you see it now. You see it? Wentz is one guy who's not hung up on it because he wasn't on the field. He wants to prove he can win one. He's pissed. I know he's one of the guys who wants to play and compete, and he's trying. He's trying his damn hardest if you watch the damn game. Just like he said, he don't question his leadership at all. This is just crazy, but I don't know what else to say. You guys comment below on your thoughts. I'm not here to defend the Eagles, and I'm not here to defend Orlando Scandrick. I think he's a scrub, but hey, he did make some points. But I just don't like how this came out in the media, just like I don't like how Lane Johnson came out and said what he said in the media. But this is just so much going on with the this and the that. And that's what happens when you're successful, and then you start to drop and trickle a little. Everyone starts questioning each other, but they need to band back together like a group of guys. If you remember in 2017, we won the Super Bowl. Wentz went down. Peters went down. I think a corner or so went down. What was Malcolm Jenkins' famous quote? We all we got. We are all we need. The people in this room, man, we ride with. That's what he said exactly. And they band together as a group of brothers and went and did the unthinkable and cracked the Da Vinci Code, basically, and won the mother effing Super Bowl for the city of Philadelphia. They need to get back to that. And whether that means getting rid of a lot of players this offseason, which we'll get into, but maybe a win in Buffalo this Sunday would be the start of the turnaround. Or to you to prove to everyone that you're still together and still stuck as a team. Go Birds. Comment below on your thoughts.